Hi guys, welcome back to the Big Sew Along, where today we're going to be talking about 3 different tops to go with our Plinka Pants from 2 weeks ago. But before we get to that, I wanted to cover a couple of other things. First of all, anybody who's been paying attention to this for a little while will have noticed that I wasn't here last Thursday or this Tuesday. That's because instead of doing 2 videos a week, I've decided to go to just 1 a week, and it will be on Thursdays from now on. Last week it was on Tuesday, but from now on it'll just be on Thursdays. Additionally, other information I have is the Plinka Pants that we made 2 weeks ago are a Tina Gibbons pattern, and the 3 patterns I'm going to be talking about today are also Tina Gibbons patterns. Anybody who saw my last couple of videos knows that I'm on a serious Tina Gibbons jag at the moment, so not surprising. But I wanted to let you all know that I just got an email from Tina Gibbons yesterday, and if you're not already on her email list, you should know that right now they're having a 50% off sale on all of their patterns. The code for that is HAPPYMOVE20, all caps. It's on the website, so if you just go to the Tina Gibbons website, you'll see it there, and I will link to her website below. That goes until August 22nd, which is this coming Saturday. So if any of these or any other patterns, if there's a Tina Gibbons pattern you've been thinking about or whatever, now's a really good time to buy it. If you happen to be a Tina Gibbons club member, then you probably already know this because you got an email, but you get your regular club discount as well. Okay, so that's all very exciting, which is good. I actually have like 5 patterns in my basket right now. I can't believe that there are 5 patterns from Tina Gibbons that I don't already own, but apparently there are, and I'll probably pick those up today. So for our patterns today, the 3 that we're going to talk about, the first one is the Zelda, and this is a pattern that has been around for a while. This for me is a tried and true pattern. Let's see if I can find it here. So for 54-inch wide fabric, you're going to need 2 3/4 yards or 2.5 meters. It says there are pants in here. I have to be honest with you, I don't know if I've ever made the Zelda pants. I should look that up. For the slip, which is what we're going to be making. It also has meterage in here for the pants, which we're not going to be talking about today, but they're in there. You should check those out. Sizes are extra small through 3X. I made my Zelda. I'll show you a picture. I'm kind of sitting off to the side here today. Oops, trying to sit off to the side so I can put a picture up here from the website so you can see what they look like in the originals. The Zelda is a pullover slip, and in the picture on the website, you'll see that it's got an asymmetrical hem. It comes up a little bit in the front. It's got sort of a scoopy neckline, but it's almost like a U shape. I cut the size medium in this, which, like I said last time, is the size that I usually do make in Tina Gibbons, and that seems to be fine. Although I will say that I've used this pattern a bunch of times, and I have already altered it to fit me the way I like it. So if I could remember what those alterations were, I would tell you, but I do know that I cut the medium and I used a full bust adjustment, which is odd for me because I don't have a particularly large bust. So there's that. Aside from that, the one in the picture that they have has a big ruffle around the bottom. For this version, I did not use a ruffle. I did make this in a white linen that is from thefabricstore.com, and I'll leave a link to that down below also. It's their mid-weight linen. I made this with a button front, so it buttons all the way up the front. No ruffle. I just bound the hem, the neck, and the armholes. To do the front opening, this pattern is cut on the fold. The front and the back are both cut on the fold, and I left it that way. I just waited until I had it all together, and then I cut it straight up the center of the front and added 2 button bands, and I tried to account for the seam allowance that I would need on the dress in the width of the button band, so they didn't lose any actual width this way, and it turned out fine. I could have easily done it, cut that front piece not on the fold, but I didn't know until after I cut it that that's what I wanted to do, was make it a button front. So it doesn't really matter. It came out just fine. The other thing I did to this was I added a drawstring at the back, and you'll see in the pictures. I just added a drawstring like right across the, like where my bra strap would be, to pull it in a little bit and give it a little detail in the back. I really, really like this detail. However, next time I do it, I'm gonna make it maybe 2 inches lower, so it's closer to my waist and not right at my bust, because there just isn't a lot to pull in there. But it looks cute, I think. I just think that I will lower it a little bit next time. I think that's all I have to say about the Zelda, except that this is one of my very favorite Tina Givens patterns. It's one that I've made many, many times, just like the Plinka Pants. I love it with the Plinka Pants. And yeah, I love it. So, hopefully I've got some pictures up here, right here, of me in my Zelda. So the second top we're going to be talking about today is called Sandy. It's actually like a tunic-y kind of dress. It is from the Tina Givens Sychil magazine #2, which was from February 2018. And I've had this pattern since then. I got the pattern when it came out, the magazine when it came out. It's a very small pattern piece. The only pattern piece you really get is the yoke. So for the skirt, you're cutting the two pieces just based on measurements, and according to directions, they should be 50 inches by 40 inches for a mid-calf length, which is what they show in the picture. And again, I'll put that picture up here, I hope. I cut out the top, just the yoke, and tried it on to see how it was. I wanted to check, and it instructs you in the directions to do this, to determine the length of your yoke before you go any further. So I just basted the yoke together and tried it on, and you can see my pictures of that here. And then I just measured from the bottom of that yoke to where I wanted the skirt to end, and I came up with 29 inches. Then I cut my fabric, which was 60-inch fabric. I cut two panels that were 29 inches by 60 by the width of the fabric, because I used a really super lightweight, super drapey. At first, when I first bought this, I thought it was a challis, but it actually has a twill weave to it. It's a rayon. It's white. It's very pretty. It's just super, super drapey though, and very lightweight, so it could accommodate like 60 inches without much of a problem. This fabric, by the way, is also a fabric that came from Haberman Fabrics, which I talked about last week. Haberman has a very infamous section in their store. They have two racks, a $4.98 rack and a $7.98 rack, and oftentimes when they come to the end of a bolt, whatever is left, they will end up on those two racks. So that's where I got this fabric. It was a $7.98 piece, and it's been in my stash for a long time, so it's not there anymore, but you can often find things like this there. Yeah, so the other thing I did with this, and I will show you here in just a second, I used my Zelda pattern again to give myself a bit of a high-low hem on my Sandy. So this is the front of my front skirt panel. I'm gonna actually move this over a little so you can see a little bit better. Try to keep that straight. I'm just gonna put a little notch at the top. The bottom I'm gonna cut off in a second, so we'll notch that afterwards. To make this high-low hem the way I want it, I'm going to use my the front of my Zelda just to get an idea where I want it to start. So this is my Zelda, my very well used Zelda, and I'm sort of measuring it just really from the bottom, ignoring this altogether. So I am going to put a pin right here at the top of this curve. And then I'm going to move this over this way about halfway and put a mark there with another pin. And I know at that far end I wanted to end at the hemline, right at the end of the thing. So this, I essentially want this to do this. I'm kind of just going to mark this with pins for the moment. I'm just going to eyeball it and try to straighten this out until I can figure out whether or not it looks good. I'm actually pretty happy with that, honestly. Yeah, I think that looks good. So now I'm just going to double check, make sure my edges are still even, since I did move that. All right, now I'm just going to cut this off right here. I'm just going to go just on the hem side of these pins, and I'm going to be really careful not to actually catch any of my pins. But if you're worried about it, you could just as easily, obviously, use your scissors. I just use the rotary like whenever I can. Okay, so that is going to be our high-low hem. The picture in the magazine of this dress definitely has a lot more structure. The way it's cut in the magazine is the skirt pieces are cut, and then I believe in the back you put pleats in the back. The front piece is cut asymmetrically and then folded over a bit. I did not do that. I cut the skirts 60 inches by 29 inches. I made an asymmetrical hem, slightly high-low hem, obviously high in the front, and then I gathered it. I just gathered the whole thing, and I made tight gathers all the way across. I really love the way it came out. So for our third top today, our third and final top, I did a new pattern also from Tina Gibbons, obviously, in the most recent issue of her Sychil magazine, which I believe is number 6. Not sure about that. She has a pattern for the Rose and the Gigi, and again, I'll try to get a picture up here. Rose, you use the same pattern for both of them. The difference is that the Rose has a shorter bodice, and then it has a long skirt. The Gigi is just a longer bodice, and it's a top. So I made the Gigi, and again, I think the fabric, I mean, it looks to me like they've used a linen here or something like that, which I originally was going to do. However, I just didn't have the linen that I wanted for that. So I made the top. And you'll see here that it has this really cool, like, asymmetric ruffle on the side. I have not put that on yet. I don't know if I'm going to put it on this one. Now that I'm thinking about it, I probably will. I just haven't done it yet because I kind of like the way the top is now. I made mine out of, again, another really super lightweight and flowy fabric. This one is a rayon voile. Also, again, from Haberman's. It's a really summery print, which I love. And then I used, for the trim, I used a silk georgette that looks really cool with it. So for this pattern, I did nothing I had never made this before, so I didn't do anything in terms of altering the pattern itself. When I got it on, the neckline was really wide, and this happens to me a lot with Tina Gibbons pattern, so I should know by now just to double check that before I cut it. I didn't do that, so what I ended up doing was taking 2 little pleats, just like right here, And I'll show you in the pictures here. And that closed up the neckline enough for it to be comfortable for me. However, in the future, I think, because I will make this again, and I really want to make the rose version, the dress version. I think I do have a linen for that, so we'll see. Maybe I'll get that done next week. But the Gigi, you'll see that I put some little darts in it, just at the neck. You can barely even see them, really. And I think that is the only alteration I made to this. Now, in the next version I will probably, because the neckline is really wide for me, and because the bodice is wide anyways, I will probably just slice off a solid inch from the center front, which would also be the center back, and make it as is. I don't think that there's anything else I needed to alter. I felt like the armholes were fine. I don't mind the width of it now in a lightweight drapey fabric, but I feel like in a heavier fabric it maybe would be a little much for me. And if I take out a solid inch from the front and from the back, it's going to be fine. I mean, there's enough room in here that will be fine. So I think that's it today, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed seeing some of these Tina Gibbons patterns and my quick little show on how to do that high-low hem. All right, so that's it for this week, and I will see you next Thursday. I think next Thursday we will be talking about, what's it called? The elope. I think I'm going to do an elope top and pants in linen for next week, and maybe I'll do the rose too. We'll see. All right, thanks so much, guys.